In the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean, where ancient currents carry secrets across endless waters, something extraordinary occurred that would challenge every assumption about modern aviation and the very nature of reality itself. What began as a routine red-eye flight became one of the most confounding mysteries of the 21st century, leaving behind a trail of impossible evidence and questions that still echo through the corridors of international aviation authorities today. Before diving in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates. It was March 8, 2014, just after midnight local time, when Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 prepared for departure from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The Boeing 777-200ER, registration number 9MR, represented the pinnacle of modern aviation technology, equipped with multiple redundant communication systems and satellite tracking capabilities that should have made it impossible to lose. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a 53-year-old veteran pilot with over 18,000 flight hours, conducted his final pre-flight checks alongside First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. The aircraft carried 239 souls bound for Beijing Capital International Airport, a journey that should have taken approximately 6 hours over familiar commercial airways. The Boeing pushed back from Gate Cone at 12:41 in the morning, its twin Rolls-Royce engines spinning up to full power as it accelerated down runway 32R. Air traffic control recorded the takeoff as routine, with all systems functioning normally and weather conditions optimal for the northward journey toward Chinese airspace. For the first 37 minutes of flight, everything proceeded according to standard operating procedures. The aircraft climbed to its assigned cruising altitude of 35,000 feet, maintaining radio contact with Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control as it tracked northeast over the South China Sea toward the handoff point with Ho Chi Minh City controllers. At 1:19 in the morning, Captain Shah transmitted the final voice communication from MH370. "Good night, Malaysian 370. The transmission carried no hint of distress, no indication of the impossible sequence of events about to unfold. 2 minutes later, the aircraft's transponder signal vanished from civilian radar screens, as if the massive Boeing had simply ceased to exist. What happened next defied every protocol in modern aviation. Rather than continuing its programmed route toward Beijing or descending rapidly in the event of catastrophic failure, flight MH370 executed a precise left turn back toward the Malaysian peninsula. Military radar installations tracked an unidentified aircraft crossing the country at high altitude, following established airways with the precision of an experienced pilot. The aircraft's sophisticated communication systems had been systematically disabled in a sequence that suggested intimate knowledge of Boeing 777 architecture. First, the aircraft communications addressing and reporting system fell silent, followed by the transponder, then the high-frequency radio. Yet the aircraft continued flying, its flight path suggesting deliberate navigation rather than mechanical failure. As MH370 crossed back over Malaysia, ground witnesses reported seeing unusual atmospheric disturbances in its wake. Residents of Kota Bharu described a strange luminescence in the night sky, a pale blue radiance that seemed to pulse in rhythm with the aircraft's passage. Meteorological stations recorded unexplained electromagnetic anomalies in the region, fluctuations that bore no resemblance to natural weather phenomena. The aircraft's final confirmed radar contact occurred at 2:22 in the morning, approximately 200 nautical miles northwest of Penang Island. Military operators watched the target execute another turn, this time toward the southwest, before disappearing beyond the range of ground-based tracking systems into the vast darkness of the Indian Ocean. For the next 6 hours, MH370 continued transmitting automated satellite handshakes to an Inmarsat communications satellite positioned over the Indian Ocean. These brief digital exchanges, occurring approximately every hour, provided no information about the aircraft's condition or destination, only confirmation that its electrical systems remained powered and its satellite communication unit functional. The handshake data revealed something unprecedented in commercial aviation history. Through complex analysis of signal timing and frequency shifts, investigators determined that MH370 had flown in a southward direction for hours after its disappearance, traveling along what became known as the Seventh Arc, a curved line of possible positions stretching across the remote southern Indian Ocean. The final satellite transmission occurred at 8:11 in the morning, suggesting the aircraft had exhausted its fuel supply somewhere along this arc, approximately 1,800 miles southwest of Perth, Australia. The signal's abrupt termination implied catastrophic power loss, consistent with fuel exhaustion and subsequent impact with the ocean surface. International search efforts mobilized across an area of ocean larger than the continental United States. Advanced sonar mapping revealed the seafloor's alien topography, a landscape of underwater mountains and abyssal plains that had never been charted with such precision. Deep-sea autonomous vehicles descended to depths exceeding 4,000 meters, scanning terrain that resembled an extraterrestrial world more than any earthly environment. Among the searchers' most disturbing discoveries were areas of the ocean floor that appeared to have been recently disturbed, despite the absence of any known geological activity. Sediment patterns suggested massive displacement, as if something enormous had impacted the seabed and then somehow vanished, leaving only geometric impressions in the mud that defied explanation. Debris from MH370 began washing ashore along the western Indian Ocean coastline nearly 2 years after the disappearance. The first confirmed piece, a section of the aircraft's right wing flaperon, was discovered on Reunion Island in July 2015. The component's condition puzzled investigators, showing damage patterns inconsistent with high-speed water impact, yet bearing marine growth that suggested prolonged ocean exposure. Additional debris fragments appeared along the coasts of Mozambique, Tanzania, and Madagascar, each piece raising new questions about the aircraft's final moments. The distribution pattern seemed to follow established ocean currents, yet computer models of debris drift couldn't account for the extended timeline between the aircraft's disappearance and the first recovered fragments. Forensic analysis of the debris revealed microscopic traces of materials that shouldn't have been present on a commercial aircraft. Spectrographic examination identified metallic compounds with isotopic signatures that matched no known manufacturing processes. The implication suggested exposure to conditions or environments that fell outside conventional understanding of materials science. Perhaps most unsettling were the personal effects recovered from the ocean. Items belonging to passengers showed signs of exposure to extreme conditions that seemed inconsistent with underwater preservation. Photographs, documents, and electronic devices displayed degradation patterns that suggested exposure to intense electromagnetic fields rather than simple saltwater corrosion. The Malaysian government's investigation concluded that MH370 had been deliberately diverted from its planned route, likely by someone with detailed knowledge of the aircraft systems. However, the motive for such an action remained unexplained, as did the technical means by which the aircraft's sophisticated tracking systems had been so comprehensively defeated. Satellite data analysis revealed one final mystery that investigators have never publicly acknowledged. The Inmarsat handshake transmissions contained embedded metadata that suggested the aircraft's altitude had fluctuated wildly during its final hours, climbing and descending in patterns that defied both aerodynamic principles and the limitations of commercial aircraft performance envelopes. The search for MH370 was officially suspended in January 2017 after covering over 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor. The investigation remained active, but resources were redirected toward analyzing the recovered debris and refining computer models of the aircraft's final flight path. In the depths of the Indian Ocean, where sunlight has never penetrated and pressure exceeds 1,000 times that at sea level, the main wreckage of MH370 presumably rests in eternal darkness. The aircraft's black boxes, if they survived the impact, have long since exhausted their acoustic locator beacons, their final recorded data locked away in the crushing depths of one of Earth's most remote and hostile environments. What do you think really happened during those final 6 hours when MH370 flew silently across the Indian Ocean, its passengers and crew facing an unknown fate? Subscribe to explore more cases where the official explanation only deepens the mystery and the truth remains hidden in the shadows of our world's most baffling disappearances.